Elfrida Shehu from Civil Engineer Faculty, Polytechnic University of Tirana. My expertise field belongs to real estate appraisal, and for this reason, this paper addresses an issue related to residential properties in Tirana city. Residential properties, in fact, represent the largest group of the properties all over the world, even in Albania. And during our everyday life, everyday work, we have to make valuation for different type of properties, for a different purpose of valuation. And the most required kind of value is the market value, that if we will see the definition in European and international standard of valuation like that. But to say in few and simple words, the market value represents the most expected value that has to be realized during the exchange of the property in the market. In fact, the residential properties are valued under the direct comparison method. That I can say it's the simplest and at the same time the most difficult method of valuation of properties. It seems to be a contradiction because I said the simplest and at the same time the most difficult. It is seemed simple because the direct comparison method is based on the comparisons between the property object of valuation and the other properties, similar properties that has been part of the market recently. But each property is unique in itself. Even when properties appear to be similar, close inspections often reveals that they are in fact different. Appraisal is the art of analyzing and interpreting other transactions performed in recent past under the optics of market characteristics, also individual characteristics that each property in itself has. Different properties have different values because it has its own qualities and its own characteristics. The success in the direct comparison method depend on the information, and the information it's not so easy to get in the market. After all, we have to make analysis of the information we have get. And moreover, it's crucial the applying of adjustments based on the differences between the property that has to be appraised and the comparable property. And this is why we said that the method of comparison is difficult. There are known and acceptable differences in value reported by different valuers for the same property at the same moment of time and upon the same purpose of valuation. It happens because there are different characteristics, different factors that we have to take into account in our valuation. And this paper aims to show which are the main factors that affect the market value of residential properties, and moreover to see which is the ranking according to the importance in order to get or to give a help to the valuers in order to narrow the differences between values reported in different reports. The study was conducted by referring to a group of apartments sold in Tirana city. Is used linear regression analysis because the value of the property can be seen as simultaneous effect contribution of all the factors that affect the value. But first, we have to individualize, to identify which are the common characteristics that influence the value. For that, we have done a consulting with the literature, but above all, we have used the Albanian experience, my own experience as a valuer, and also the experience of my colleagues that work every day as appraiser. And the common characteristics that we consider when we use comparisons are the location, the surface, the number of rooms, conditions of property itself, number of balconies, a flat, and so on. Gathering the data, after that we have processed the data. It's a part of the table, not all, because the data has included much more apartments. We have processed the data using the valuation standards, some of the characteristics quantitatively where it is possible, and qualitatively where quantitatively it's not possible, for example, to evaluate location or condition of the properties. After that, we started to control the importance of each factor separately, and after then the importance of all the factors together. First, the control of price distribution in relation to location shows us that the large group of apartments sold in the market belongs to location 4. That is less important comparing with the other locations. Looking at the prices, we can see that the prices for location 4 and 5 are approximate ones, are almost the same. And there is a significant detached in prices between the location 3 and location 4 and 5. But to see that this difference, this big difference has a relation only with the location or with something else, we have seen the relation between the surface area, the price, and location. And we can see that for location 4 and 5, the surfaces areas of the apartments are almost the same. And the difference between the surface area of apartments in this group of location with the surface area of apartments in the location 3 is significant. And so we can arrive in the conclusion that the difference in the prices is not just because the difference in the location, but also in the difference of the surface area. The control of the distribution of the price depending on the rooms shows us that the apartments with 3 rooms are the ones that determine the higher prices. Showing the same thing, but depending on the conditions, can get us some important and interesting results. So we can see that the number of sales is higher for category 3, and the category 4 includes the widest range of prices accepted by the buyer. But it's very interesting to show or to conclude that the buyer is oriented to the average quality of apartments, excluding the extremes. We have continued with the control distribution of the price according or depending by the flat. And here we can see that buyers are orientated for floors 2 to 4 for apartments that are situated in low and medium stores building that correspond with the old building in Tirana city. And for the apartments, high-priced, which are situated in multi-store buildings that correspond with the new ones that has also the elevators, the floor is not being considered as a factor. We have continued to make the control of distribution of the price variable by the balconies. And this control shows us that the number of apartments sold does not seem very dependent on the number of balconies. Of course, we have not just to see the correlation between the price and each factor, but have to see in general, because as I said before, the property, the value of the property is seen as a simultaneous contribution of all factors. And because of that, we have done the correlation analysis and the results show us that we have to pay more attention to the surface area and the rooms. In fact, even in my previous works, I have identified something that the relation that when we have to do with the old apartments that are designed according to a strict rule between the surface and the number of rooms, we can substitute surface and the room without getting some negative points in our valuation. But when it's question about the new apartments that are built without strict rules about the relation between the surface and the rooms, we have to make a calculation according to the surface area, regardless the number of the rooms. It was a very important findings even in this paper. It is not only important for us to see which are the most important factors that influence the value of the properties, but also to have a ranking because we have to see which of the factors has to take into account and in which steps we have to take them into account. And using or making the classification of the importance, we can see that the three main characteristics that can explain the value and can have impact on the value of the property are the location, the surface area of the property, of apartment, and conditions. The others are not so important. They can be neglected according to the situation, according to the purpose of valuation, according to the judgment of the appraiser. So as a final result of this paper and this study, we can recommend to all the valuers in Tirana city in Albania that in every report of evaluation, in every process of valuation of the residential properties, they have to take into account definitely location, surface area, and conditions of properties itself as essential ones, and with the most significant impact on the value of the property. Also, during the making the adjustments between the differences or between the characteristics of the property object of the valuation and the other properties that are used as information or as evidences, we have also to have to do very carefully to make these adjustments according to these three characteristics. Thank you for listening. Thank you for attention. If you have any questions, please